to Gary's Graveyard Ramblings. I thought this morning I'd come to a different part of the cemetery for today's rambling. Now, hello. This is very much off the cuff. I haven't rehearsed any of this. Sometimes I think that's probably the best way. Don't you? I do. And therefore, the ramblings that I shall burst forth with today are purely off the top of my head. Now, I was minded that I'm in now part of the oldest section of this beautiful little graveyard with my friends all around. Say hello. And that sort of forms the theme behind today's missive, today's rambling, and that is history. Because this church behind me is not far off 1,000 years old. And for Americans, I know that's a concept hard to grasp. Not just Americans, in fact, but, my friends in the former colony, the prisoners over there in Australia and New Zealand. And so anyway, I thought we'll do a little bit of history, because for those people, I have some, as you know, this is the least watched video blog in history. So I thought I'd do just a little bit of history of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, a potted history for today's graveyard rambling, given the fact that there's 1,000 years worth of stone behind me. And, this is a very beautiful section. There's Dracula's grave over there, you see. And then there's the section over there. I'll just zoom in for you. That little section is gated off over there because even in death, you have to be separated from the riffraff. That's a very important British concept, separating yourselves from riffraff, as indeed this morning Boris Johnson successfully managed to do by resigning. Now, let me cut to the quick. I'm going to start with basic UK history for foreigners. Now, for British viewers and Scottish and Irish, Northern Irish, Welsh, we know all of this, even the English do. So you'll have to indulge me, those people from these small islands, if I'm telling you stuff you already know. So for the benefit of those foreigners abroad, the country, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, is split into two halves, the North and the South. Now, up north, the thing is, you might have the impression this is made up of people who wear flat caps, who have whippets, and who eat black pudding, which is a sausage concoction made out of the blood of the victims of the people that the families up there have killed. And of course this is true, but it's not all flat caps, whippets and sausage up there. There are other things. There's a lot of wind. And on that note, of course, we have the relationship between your ex-president Trump and the name Trump, which is a British name. It comes from northeast England, actually, I think, and it means fart and an escape of gas, a leg lifter, a shirt breeze. All of these expressions adequately describe the function of a rip-roaring raspberry from the trouser area, and indeed from the skirt area, because let's face it, ladies, you do it too, quietly, but still stinky. And so President Trump, really President Fart is what we're saying here. And it comes from Northern England heritage, something I know Americans treasure very much. And so as you're about to probably re-elect a hardened criminal over there, it's probably worthwhile mentioning some of the other achievements that the Americans have made over here as part of their heritage. We all know that half of Scotland, in fact, I think the percentage is about 60% of Scotland is actually a Trump golf course. That's a truism. In Northern Ireland, of course, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, they're related, actually. You mightn't have known this, but they are. Except that in Northern Ireland, they say things like, "How are you?" And in the Southern Ireland, it says, what's the Southern Ireland phrase? They go, "How ya?" I think that's what everybody says that, without exception. So Americans, if you wish to be immediately accepted, in the South, you go, "How ya?" And in the North, you go, "How are you?" and then you're immediately accepted. And oh, and don't forget, potatoes with everything. Coming back to England, I'll come on to the Welsh later. Coming into England, now I live in the extreme south of England, which was once owned by France, but we gave it back. And some may say that was an unwise act. Who knows? But all I can say is that I do like a nice glass of red. So I think my heritage gives me away there. In the extreme south, we're known in this little corner at the bottom of Kent and East Sussex as the Garden of God. Because when Jesus of Nazareth came to England to establish the establishment behind me, where my neighbours go, and he lived in this part of the world. Jesus of Nazareth lived, I think, on the Isle of Sheppey, and then he went to Canterbury, where he murdered the vicar and established the Church of England with Henry VIII. That's a potted history of the Christian religion in the southeast. Best to get that right, because you don't want to go into this place behind me, sit down on a pew, pray and sing the wrong hymn, because that could be, well, could be deathly, to be honest. You don't want to end up where my friends are at the moment, do you? And so that's the English. I think that's done. Northern England, best not to go there unless you, well, all I can say is wear a Mac. Oh, and the same goes for Ireland, actually, and Scotland. Oh, and bite cream if you're in Scotland. Bite cream, because there's these flying things everywhere in Scotland, and they go up your kilt and attack your meat and two veg. In Wales, Wales is a very strange place. I mean, I have a special affinity with Wales. Prif ddinas Cymru ydi Caerdydd. Dydi'r ddinas ddim yn fawr fe'n Buenos Aires a Llundain, o mae hi'n braf. A mae amgueddfa genedlaethol Cymru ac mae castell hardd yn nghanol y dref. What is all that? Well, of course, it is Welsh, and it's from a book when I decided as an out-of-work actor in the late 1970s that if I learned Welsh, I had a better chance of getting a job, because very few other actors did. So I learned all this stuff off by heart, and unfortunately, unless I was in a drama talking about a family moving from Wales to Argentina, it wouldn't have been a great deal of use. As a result, I've never done anything in Welsh since. In Wales, the country is named after the fish, because there's these big fish what swim in the sea of the mammalian variety, because these fish have breasts and they give birth to their young and then they feed them with milk. I think that's right. And the country of Wales was actually named after that. And when you go to Wales, please make sure to take daffodils, leeks and dragons, because if you're wandering down the street there and there isn't a daffodil sticking out of one of your orifices, you could be arrested. I think I've really summed the entire UK up of Great Britain, which is England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, quite nicely there. And I'm going to leave you with this extra thought. Trump, man or fart? Bye-bye.